darkness, my old friend. I've come to talk with you again, because a vision softly creeping left its seed while I was sleeping. And the vision that was planted in my brain still remains, with the sound of silence. Hello, darkness, my old friend. I've come to talk with you again, because a vision softly creeping left its seeds while I was sleeping. And the vision that was planted in my brain still remains, with the sound of silence. Hello, and in today's video, we are doing a FPL Game Week 33 review, Game Week 34 preview, Game Week 34 review, and Game Week 35 preview. I know, it is what you call jam-packed. We have had a little bit of a rest in the last couple of weeks, but now we're back in action with an FPL preview, with an FPL review. Do smash a like on it and comment down below your captain this Game Week 35. But before we get into any of that, I just thought I'd have a little look at the Premier Fantasy Tools website, which is usually very helpful when it comes to team news. So going into Game Week 35, which is of course a single game week, just 4 game weeks of the season to go, it is really getting spicy for the run-in. So, you know, differentials, players with good fixtures like your Villa players who have got 2 double game weeks in a row before the, after the Norwich game in 35. And yeah, it's going to be really, really fascinating to see where people go here. So, yeah, ultimately, that's what is going to happen. And we're going to look at the team news. So let's see Arsenal, right? Kieran Tierney has been out for a long time with that knee injury. He's still going to be out, I'm pretty sure, for most of the season. Saka, though, is the only one that is a bit of a interesting one. He did come off in the game against Manchester United, but I think he's going to be all right. He's said that Arteta, hopefully he will be fine. And I think he should be fit to go. So you can start Bukayo Saka. And to be honest, against West Ham, who are in the Europa League and obviously did lose, so they're going to put even more eggs in that basket to try and win that second leg. And they have no fit centre-backs other than, at the minute, it looks like Kurt Zouma, who did come back in the Europa League. But they've got Dawson suspended, Diop injured. They've also got someone else, whoever they've got else injured. So the point is, that's a really nice fixture for Saka, and he's on penalties as well. So it just really looks quite nice that he's now looking fit to play this West Ham game at the London Stadium. So moving on to the Villa team news, we've got Lucas Dean, obviously we've known about for a while. Bertrand Traore is back, but I'm not sure many people will be thinking about him, who's kind of been a bit of a missing player this season. He was really good last season, though. Moving on to Brentford, Pinnock is ruled out with a hamstring injury, so that's not ideal for Brentford. And also, Canos is still out with that hamstring, and Onyeka is still out with that ankle. So Christopher Ayer is a good news for Brentford, but crucially for the Bees, Christian Norgard, who missed the draw against Spurs, was a bit of a miss in that midfield. He should be available now after that shin problem. So, yeah, some good news for Brentford fans. Not really, though, for FPL. I don't think we're going to be thinking about any Brentford defensive midfielders. Brighton, now, Moda's been out for a long time, and I think that's going to continue. In terms of Yves Bissouma, he's a nice, cheap midfielder, but I'm not sure you really are wanting to bring him in at this late stage of a season, because Brighton don't double, and Tarek Lamptey should be back fit, which is good to see just from a neutral point of view, but not really for FPL. He's been so cotton wool, placed in cotton wool, that you just not really like him as an FPL option, and Brighton have just not been that consistent this season. So looking at now, Burnley, obviously they've got the Watford away fixture in Game Week 35, followed by 2 doubles in 36 and 37. So a lot of people are thinking about them, and obviously they've got a lot to play for with the relegation scrap
and it's a much bigger game really, that game for Burnley, than it is Watford. So you could look at Wout Weghorst, who has got another return last week, that assist for Matty Vidra. You could look at Vidra against his former team Watford. Is inevitable he scores in that game. You could look at someone like Taylor, who, yeah, all right, Burnley don't always keep clean sheets, but Pope's been playing quite well recently, and for 4.4, is Taylor going to be a good attacking option? Perhaps. Cornet has been out injured recently, and he did miss that penalty against West Ham, so it's kind of if you really want to go there, if he's fit. And then finally, the only other person I would think about is possibly Jay Rodriguez, but I just don't know about his minutes, so I would steer away from that really. And unless you think about Nick Pope, you don't really want to touch many Burnley players, because although they are fighting for relegation, they are pretty awful. But in terms of injuries, Cornet, it's a 50-50 one, and the same with Rodriguez really, so we'll see what happens there. Also, moving on to Chelsea, they have had a lot of injuries recently, especially that Kovacic injuries has not been great for them. But it's good to see that Chelsea players coming back from injury after that Man United game, because Reece James was back, Rudiger as well was also back from that injury that ruled him out of the Arsenal game. Ultimately, good news for Chelsea players. Ross Barkley and Christensen, I don't think you're going to be considering either of those who have now got illness. But talking of illness, did you know that this weekend Roy Hodgson is feeling a bit of a cold? So I don't know whether that means he doesn't play. He doesn't manage on Saturday. I doubt it. I mean, Ray Lewington, I actually prefer him, to be honest, to Hodgson, but surely he's not prepared yet to do it as a one-man job. We'll find out, but I don't think that should really affect our decision making in terms of Watford or FPL Burnley assets. I just think we'll probably lose the game. Dennis will probably score, and that's that at the end of the day. There's not much more to it than that. Illness there for those two Chelsea players. And then moving on to Palace, this is interesting because they double in 37. So if you've really not got any more bench boosts or any more chips in that matter, then Palace players could be a decent shout. It's just that, I don't know, Palace are just one of those teams, they blow so hot and cold often, and you just don't know whether you can trust them. But Mitchell might be back. I think he will be probably, and that's quite a cheap defence to target, so it could be decent. Looking at Everton, they're not really that in terms of enticing right now. They're in a massive battle with Burnley and Leeds to scrap and stay up. But they have got a double game week in 36 and also in 37. But the problem is that Everton are just not very good. Calvert-Lewin is back, but his season form has been so poor. Leeds United, Forshaw and Bamford still ruled out. You really feel for them. They've just been so unfortunate with injuries. But no new news on any available players. Leicester, the same thing in terms of Wilfred and Ndidi. He's been out for a long time. But Vardy could be back. I think he got some minutes in the game against, was it Roma? Or was it, no, the last Leicester game perhaps. I think it was Villa. So that's really good news for Vardy. For Vardy, I say owners, but he's been out for so long. So I'm not sure it's really worth the money, to be honest. When you can think about someone like Kane, who's just in better form, or maybe someone cheaper like Pukki. Castagna, though, is a nice one. I just don't know how nailed he's going to be, though. But if he starts, which is a big if, he's got nice attacking threat. Liverpool, still kind of the same sort of thing. Firmino's still out, and Tsimikas might play, but he's got an illness at the minute. But I don't think Robertson has got any chance of missing a game, because he was unbelievable against Everton. Moving on to City, Walker's still out. You feel for the lad because he's been all right this season, but yeah, he's still out. And Stones is also out, so that's nice news for Ruben Diaz owners. He's been playing a bit more recently. But you never know with a Pep roulette, I suppose. United, Sancho's still out with tonsillitis. You got a feel for him. Wan-Bissaka's got a knock. And also Lingard has got personal reasons, so he's not going to play. But Harry Maguire, apparently with an injury, not just the fact he's getting benched all the games because of his massive hit to his confidence this season. But let's find out. I'm not sure you're going to really want Man United players based on how poor they've been this season, really. They're doubling not at all in these kind of final few weeks. So just not sure it's worth it. Newcastle, still Wilson's out, and still Trippier. Obviously, we knew kind of that was the case. Let's just skip over Norwich. It's Norwich. It's Pookie or no one. Southampton, Livermento's probably out for the season. McCarthy might play, but I think Forster's actually been playing quite well, to be honest. And it's a bit of an annoying thing because I sold Forster. I say that. I sold Forster the week that he conceded 6 to Chelsea. But then since then, he's got a clean sheet against Arsenal, a really good performance in the game against who was the other one? I can't even remember now. He was all right against Brighton, to be fair. But the point is, he's been getting some saves. But to be honest, I don't really mind because Schmeichel's done quite well for me. But moving on to Spurs, Reguilon is ruled out. So those thinking of selling Reguilon this week, you should do it. Number one, because even if he was fit, he's not nailed. Like, I think they prefer to play Emerson and Sessegnon there. And like, you could even throw in someone like Ben Davies to play ahead of Reguilon because he's just not really been in consistent form this season. But obviously now it's an injury as well. And obviously we've known about Doherty. He's been out for a long time. Watford players, I'm not sure you're going to want many apart from maybe Dennis or if you're really desperate for a bench boost in 36 with Foster. But Cucho is out pretty much for the rest of the season, I think, unless he comes back for the final Chelsea game, but I doubt it very much. And Kalu's been out, I feel it's like just forever. Like, we brought him in, he's basically not played a single minute. He's played like one game or something. It's really disappointing, but he's just not been that good. Searauta, yeah, he's had a lot of injuries. But will we bring in a fresh defender who's not been playing for a lot of the season in a game of this importance? I say importance, it's more important for Burnley. But look, I think he's probably going to keep the same back two. The settled kind of back two. I say settled. They've conceded goals after goals, but at least they know how to play with each other, Samir and Kabasele. But we'll see. Moving on, we've got Kiko back, which is big news for Watford. Hopefully he can start. But look, Ngakia, I'm happy for him to come in and play because he's good defensively. It's just Kiko's an attacking option in FPL is quite a nice shout. Looking at West Ham, obviously I said that thing about their centre backs. Dawson is suspended, but Zuma's back, so that's something at least for West Ham. But yeah, Ogbonna is out injured as well, so it really is looking nice for that Bukayo Saka game. And Kilman is still out, Neves somehow still out, and Podence as well, who's had injuries in the past, but still looking injured. So that's keeping you up to date with the FPL news in terms of injuries. But now let's get into my FPL review of Game Week 33. So where do I start, people? It's been a little while since we've caught up, really. Let me just bring you back to Game Week 32 just for a second. Now, as you can see there, Game Week 33, 64 points, beautiful stuff. But I need to give some context on Game Week 32 to just kind of make this make sense. So I had a really good Game Week 32. I was absolutely loving it. I scored 85 points, and we went from a rank all the way up from a previous rank of 146,479 to 105k. I was absolutely buzzing about Game Week 32. I mean, to rise 40k was just unbelievable. And actually, that game week, we surpassed our total points from the entire season of 2019 to 20, which was 2006. We after Game Week 32 on 2,072 points. So, really good stuff. Game Week 32, a game week rank of 205,927. It was a great game week in every sense of the word. And we went into that obviously with two chips. We had the free hit and the bench boost. We used a free hit last week, which is what we're going to get onto. Which, to be honest, I didn't expect it. But when I heard the news that City probably wouldn't double in 37, which was a bit kind of not ideal, and also Chelsea weren't doubling in 37 because of the fact that they had that double in 34. I was just like, nah, I'm just not feeling it. So I went for the bench boost in 34. But I'm going to talk about that in a second. But yeah, it was just a really great game week 32 for me. I had that obviously nice captaincy, Kane, the Son hat-trick, you can't complain, the 12 points from Ivan Toney, and the 9 points on his debut for my team for Schmeichel. So that was a great game week. And if you didn't catch my full review of that, you can also watch it on FPL Juice. So FPL Juice on the game week 33 video, it's called Giroud are not alone, and that was my first time in the studio at FPL Juice Launch Pod Studios. That was an amazing experience. So all my thanks to go out to at FPL Juice, Ash, Nick, and also James, the producer. So yeah, great experience, that one. And I was pretty happy with it, to be honest, that game week 32. So the Spurs double up was looking lovely. The captaincy pick of Kane I was very happy with. Rafinha got that double-digit haul against Watford, and I was like, yes, this is really good. Schmeichel with a penalty save. I mean, I was loving life. I was absolutely loving life. And Tony just came in with a 12-point haul. Absolute goat. The double Arsenal, I admit, was a problem. Weghorst was the most frustrating thing I'd ever seen in the world, because he got subbed off in that game against Norwich. And I was like, what? This is an outrage. Reece James got benched again. Like, what can you do about that? That's just unfortunate. But what, it's just frustrating. And not having Kulusevski was a bit of a killer, but what can we do there? So yeah, all in all, very, very interesting one, 32. But let's move on to Game Week 33 and talk about what happened there. So Game Week 33, I made just the 2 transfers, but I felt like, just really going for it in Game Week 33. I took the -4 hit. I thought, yeah, let's try and set myself up for the final few game weeks. So, I don't know, maybe I was just a bit silly here, but I was thinking really about Game Week 36, and I was like, I really want to get some players in for 36. Let's see what I can do. I really wasn't fancying someone like a St. Maximan or I don't know. A lot of people were looking at that Game Week 33 double and looking at like Cornet and so many people. I thought that Game Week 33 was a trap. Like the doubles for Manchester United and Newcastle and Burnley, I was just like, they're surely a trap, because like I get people were free hitting that week. Maybe I should have free hit it in 33, but ultimately I wasn't fussed. I really wasn't. And the only player I wanted after 33 was Maddison. And even then I thought, well, a lot of people were rumouring about him getting benched, and he did actually get benched in that game against Newcastle. So look, at the end of the day, we'll take it. But what we ended up doing in Game Week 33 is we moved Rafinha, mainly because, obviously, got the haul against Watford. We'll take that. But obviously, he blanked in 33. And I just didn't really have faith in Leeds post Game Week 32. I thought, well, Leeds, they're probably safe. Rafinha, it's just been so frustrating to own, and I just not really feeling it. So I brought in someone with a double in 36 in mind, but also a nice double in 33. Who did I bring in? Gabriel Martinelli. And honestly, it's been probably one of my worst transfers this season. It's frustrating because it would have paid off on another day, but he had a nice double. Well, I say nice, decent enough, you'd think. Southampton away at Chelsea away. And I knew that he'd scored away at Chelsea before at Stamford Bridge. I also knew that Southampton were looking pretty leaky. They just conceded 6 to Chelsea. But what happened? Southampton turn up with a performance. They beat Arsenal 1-0. They take away my points from the Ben White clean sheet. Saka doesn't score against Southampton. It was just an absolute stinker. So, alright, we got gains on Martinelli transfer based on the fact Rafinha didn't play. But come on. To blank in both games against Southampton and Chelsea. And also, the Chelsea double game week, he didn't play from the start against Chelsea. That was just so frustrating. And then, again, in game week 34, Martinelli benched. We'll go on to talk about that and whether that was a good decision or not. But Martinelli, yeah, a bit of a stinker there. But you think, all right, fair enough. But then the -4 was compounded, really, because I sold Matip ahead of Manchester United at home, which was maybe a bit silly because it was a banked clean sheet. But I just didn't want Matip because I thought, well, who do I want more? The doublers in 34 or the doublers in 36? So what I'm talking about here is the doubling Chelsea defenders, because I thought, yeah, realistically, ahead of the Game Week 33 deadline, there was that thing of everyone knew if Chelsea beat Palace in the FA Cup, they doubled in 34, and if Palace beat Chelsea, that they wouldn't double in 34, and actually that Palace would double in 35, and then Chelsea would double in 37. And I was hedging my bets while I thought I already had Rudiger. Sorry, no, I already had James. Just giving the game away there. I've already had James, and James has been frustrating to own. He's been not playing all the time. So let's get someone that's a bit more nailed. I got in Rudiger. And just happens that week I get in Rudiger, he gets an injury out of absolutely nowhere. What can you do about that? Really frustrating. And also, Reece James, an injury out of absolutely nowhere. Or am I thinking about the wrong game week? No, actually, I think I'm thinking about the wrong game week because it was Reece James that didn't play against West Ham that we knew nothing about. So yeah, sorry, I was confusing game weeks there. But the point I'm saying is, Matip for Rudiger, it lost me 6 points because Rudiger didn't play against Arsenal. But it was actually a blessing in disguise, which we'll talk about because of my striker that did play and did score, finally. So yeah, basically, I didn't feel the free hit was worth it this week. Maybe that was a mistake, but we scored 64 points, which, to be honest, I'm pretty actually happy with when you consider how bad that game could have been, especially with the fact that I didn't free hit. But it still wasn't ideal, of course. So, looking at game week 33, Schmeichel, 5 points, frustrating, no clean sheet in either game. And it was late goals in both games as well. You just think, like, with the double game week in mind for 33, I thought Schmeichel was a good asset. I brought him in for that game against Palace, and I got the penalty save, so I'll take that. But at the same time, like, you know, he's been a bit up and down. He's been really good, then he was not great, and then we'll talk about Schmeichel in 34. But look, he's still very good to own. He's the most nailed Leicester defender. I say defender, you know, defensive asset. And I actually got so many save points, like even against Newcastle, 5 saves and a bonus point. Thank you very much. So, yeah, it's not ideal, but it's also not the end of the world. Defence, this is a bit of a shambles. I'm not going to lie, people. So Southampton away, okay, fine. You think, let's see if we can get a clean sheet there, hopefully. Chelsea, you didn't expect anything. But then he concedes 2 goals to Chelsea, not ideal. But then booked and does nothing against Southampton. And look at Ben White. In his last 6 or 7 game weeks, he's just loved to score 1-7, 1-7, 1-1. It's been disappointing. And I actually free hitted him out in 34 because I thought, well, United probably will score. That's what happened. But it was kind of like, well, that's just a bit silly from you, Ben White. You're just not really doing what you used to do in my team. I remember when I owned him a few game weeks ago where he was just getting bonus points like it was no tomorrow. Like, I think I got him in for... Did I get him in for 23? He got a lot of bonus points around this period, like 7 points against Leicester, 7 against Villa. It was a really nice time to own him. But recently, it's not been a nice time to own him. And yeah, just frustrating Arsenal against Southampton. And although Arsenal were much better against Chelsea, they still looked quite defensively leaky. Reece James, I mean, you just can't write this, can you? Comes on and you think, oh, home to Arsenal, let's not free hit out these kind of amazing attacking players. And what happens? He actually does play, but they concede 4. Like, what can you do about that? They concede 4 to Brentford, they concede 4 to Arsenal. Honestly, Chelsea are just such a weird team. Trent, clean sheet, okay, not ideal. You think there's a chance there for something against Man United, but at the end of the day, with how the week's gone, you take the 6 points. Moving on to the midfield, I mean, Martinelli, you just need to leave it out. Like, he got benched for the Chelsea game. Really, really annoying because, I mean, I'm not going to complain too much because if Martinelli hadn't played the second game, I'd have got 1 point from Amati. So I'm really not that fussed. But when you think about, I took a -4 to bring this guy in, and he doesn't get any hauls, and also doesn't get the 290 minutes. It's like, come on, that's a shame. Son Heung-min against Brighton, you'd have backed it. You'd have bet your bottom dollar on it. But Brighton, they did it. They got the win against Spurs. Trossard with the goal. And you know what they say? Never back the early kickoff. And I just didn't listen to that. And Spurs were really, really poor. So that was a real kick in the teeth, to be honest. So what can you do there? Salah does what he does. And I'm so glad I didn't free hit him out. Because, number one, I didn't free hit, which I don't think that was a bad decision. I think it was actually quite a good one. I get a lot of free hitters did well, but if you were doing well on a free hit in 33, you probably weren't scoring much more than about 75. And that's close to what I got. So, you know, it's not the end of the world. Salah, though, so good. And I'm glad I kept him for Man United. Because it's Man United at the end of the day. They've been so dreadful this season. And Salah scored that hat-trick in the reverse fixture. I was not willing to take him out. And I know a lot of people have sold Spurs players recently and it's paid off. But you can't say the same thing for Salah. Like, just don't sell him, all right? He's Mo Bloomin' Salah. He's got to get the top scorer Golden Boot award. He's just that good. Bukayo Saka, absolute legend, right? Maybe it was a bit jammy, okay, against Chelsea to win the penalty and score it. But look, It was a well-put takeaway penalty. Got the bonus point. Thank you very much. Bukayo Saka makes up for the first game. We'll take it. My other transfer in didn't actually play, as we said. Rudiger, a bit of a stinker. But that was actually a blessing in disguise because Wout Weghorst, with the 10 points, all right, blanks against Southampton, as you do, but a goal against West Ham, we will take that, people. I mean, when was the last time Weghorst actually scored for me? I brought him in for that Game Week 31 double. So, it's the first time he's actually done it. We'll take that. But at the same time, you know, it's not the most ideal transfer in, Rudiger. But anyway, we move. Then moving on to Kane, 2 points. Very frustrating. You just think, well, Spurs didn't turn up. And against Watford, you'd have backed Ivan Toney. That's why I didn't free hit him out, because we've been awful. But Toney had chances. He was always involved, but just unlucky. Had that one where he's trying looping it over Foster and it didn't quite go in. But look, he's involved. He got booked, frustrating, a bit like Ben White, but what can you do, right? So, yeah, bench, no regrets. Raya, okay, a few saves, but no clean sheet, unlike the two games from Schmeichel. Rudiger, obviously, stinker. Amati didn't actually play the second game that much and conceded 2 anyway. And then Ramsey didn't obviously have a game. He had a blank game week. So, really good game week, to be honest. Considering I didn't use any chips, which a lot of people did. The average, I just beat the average by 3. It was 61 with my 64 points. So then I was looking at a total points of 2,132, an overall rank of 125,630. So that was, unfortunately, a red arrow. We dropped by 19,759 down to 125k from 105k. So we kind of like, you know, 1 step forward from the 32, 2 steps back in 33. Not ideal. But, you know, we were still very much within the top 100k, only 15 points behind. And that gaming rank, not brilliant, 4 million. But look, we'll take it. And I honestly feel that Matip clean sheet was just like, what can you do about that? And when you think about the transfers I made for the players I sold, you got Martinelli and Rudiger in for 3 points combined, and Matip and Rafinha 6 points combined. So I'm not really that fussed, but it's not ideal at the same time. So that double Game Week 34 was on the horizon, and we were looking, of course, to get in Game Week 34 our 4th win hour in the last 7 game weeks. Can I reveal that that was in fact the case? Oh yes, I can, people. Game Week 34, we love it. What a game week, because we free hitted. Now, I did look like likely that I was not going to free hit for a long time, and then we just made our mind up and just changed our minds, basically. So let me tell you what my team was going into Game Week 34 before I had this radical decision. Basically, my team was lining up like this. So I had in goal none other than who was it? Schmeichel against Villa. So I was like, yeah, that's fine. Then a back 3 of Trent against Everton, Rudiger with a double against West Ham and Man United, vice captain, James on the captaincy with West Ham and Man United. Then midfield of Salah against Everton, Martinelli against Man United, Son against Brentford, Saka against Man United, Toney against Tottenham, Weghorst v Wolves, and Kane versus Brentford. Then we benched Raya against Spurs, Ramsey against Leicester, White against United, and Amati v Villa. And I looked at my team and I just thought it might as well free hit, because you've got City playing against Watford, you've got Chelsea playing against Chelsea having the double, Liverpool playing against Everton, who you felt would not do that well, and also like I just wasn't that infused really by the Game Week 37 free hit. Now I know it will do well for some people, right? If you're getting in those Palace and those Villa players, but without City in that Game Week 37 free hit, I was just like, nah, I was just not feeling it. And especially with the news that Chelsea doubled in that week and I didn't have any Chelsea attackers, I thought this is the time to attack it. Unfortunately, though, I should have gone double Chelsea defence rather than attack. And when I say double Chelsea defence, there's only one man for the job, Marcus Alonso. But what can you do, right? You're going to attack the game week. You're going to go with Reece James, who's just been more attacking this season. And you're going to go with an attacking double up. It's Captain Hindsight to say Alonso would have been the better pick. At the time, it looked like Chelsea double up was the way to go, because they just scored 6 against Southampton. And you weren't really looking at their defence because they just conceded 4 to Arsenal. So I honestly feel that was, still the right decision, and I stand by that. But yeah, I just wasn't really fancying the Chelsea defence against that captaincy, because I did, though they were the only Chelsea players I had before I free hitted, and I was like, well, Reece James, West Ham, Man United, it's all right, but I kind of fancied a bit of Mason. And to be fair, he did outscore Rudiger, but look, we'll get on to Mason. So ultimately, yeah, I activated the free hit, brought in Dubravka on the free hit, and this is a bit of a shame, because Schmeichel did get 8 points, but Dubravka got 6, so I've not lost out massively, and I was praying for a clean sheet against Norwich. I got that, so Dubravka does what he says on the tin, and pretty happy with that, to be honest. We also brought in Laporte. He came in for Ben White. Bit of a shocker, this one, because you just expect that clean sheet v Watford. City have been so good at the Etihad against Watford in recent years. I thought surely Watford aren't getting a goal there, and to our credit, we do. And Emmanuel Dennis, nice little chip over the top. Kamara with the finish, and there's a City defensive double up, clean sheet, wipe, clean sheet gone. Not ideal, but you still back the decision. It's just the outcome's unfortunate. And then we also did Rudiger out, because we thought, well, he's probably not going to play because he's missed that. Which one was it? Was it the game before West Ham? I'm not quite sure, but I kind of thought Rudiger wasn't really an option, so I had Reece James instead. But I already owned Reece James, of course. So I took out Rudiger and I brought in Cancelo because he had the Watford fixture, and I thought surely Cancelo is going to whip it across, going to score a goal against Watford with our poor set piece defending. Nope. Same thing with Laporte, and he gets booked as well, which is really just rub salt in the wounds. Like, you just got to feel for it, because I've not owned Cancelo for a long time recently, and I was like, I just want to bring him back for this game week. A bit of FOMO, for fear of missing out. But I really didn't miss out on much. And I don't think Cancelo's essential, but it's a luxury really to have him right now, and it's good if you do, but I just can't really get to him easily, and I've got to think more about game 36 and the kind of final stretch, and rather than let's bring in a luxury defender. So yeah, not the most ideal thing really, but Robertson more than made up for it. You absolute Scottish legend. Andy Robertson saved my game week for sure. Trent, okay, we'll take the clean sheet against Everton. Although his clean sheets are good, Trent has gone down a little bit in terms of attack and return, but look, he's been pretty good all season, so we'll accept that. But Robertson, nice header, lovely stuff, clean sheet, bonus points. Thank you very much. What a great little shout that was, because if you had Robertson pre 33, pre 34, and you didn't obviously use any chips, then fair play. But I think it's actually more skill for me to choose Robertson on the free hit, because a lot of people would have probably thought, well, it's Everton, they're going to go for it, it might be tight, but at the same time, Trent was looking really good, and, it's not easy to fit in all these expensive defenders, and I'm just glad I went for Robertson and went for a bit of a bold one, so it really paid off. Andy Robertson, absolute legend for this game week, for sure. Moving on to the midfield, Salah, we had to keep him in, because, as I said, with the Man United game week, you just never know when Salah could punish you. And yeah, he got an assist against Everton. Would have liked a bit more, but can't be too greedy. He's been so good all season. De Bruyne, that's a nice differential. I mean, going into this Watford fixture, he wasn't that well owned. Still under 10%. And I was like, yes, I'm having it. And I thought about Sterling. I had a possible double up of Sterling and De Gea, because he had the double game week as well. But then I was like, nah, realistically, United will concede in both games. And also I thought, well, do I want De Bruyne or Sterling? Tempting as Sterling is, because he's got a great record against Watford, I'm like, well, he's just let down so many people in the past. Whereas De Bruyne, he's such a big game player, and he turns up in the big moments, and that's how it paid off. And really, really happy with that. Double assist in the game for KDB, and also juicy bonus points. So thank you very much, KDB. Havertz got the assist against Man United. All right, we'll take that. It would have been 2 if FPL hadn't have changed it, but no, realistically, that's a shame. What can you do? I think I went with the right decision in captaincy. I know it was the wrong outcome, but look, Mount was more nailed than Havertz, played more minutes across both games. Just in terms of performance-wise, Mount was looking quite good. Havertz is a bit streaky and sometimes lets you down. But these two games just happened to be that Mount just looked a bit out of it, really. Looked a bit off the boil. That's unfortunate. Havertz obviously should have scored. He had chances, but look, we'll take the assist from the flicked header. Nice header from the German, and nice finish from Alonso. Now, bit of a blow to see Alonso not just get the assist against West Ham and the clean sheet where Reece James obviously didn't play, but also get the goal against Man United. Like, just Alonso, leave it out. But look, at the end of the day, Havertz, I'll take that. And 10 points from Mount. Look, the way to think of it is it's like any other player just getting a cheeky little assist and a no clean sheet, right? That's what it is in a single game week. But obviously we know it was a blank from Mason Mount. So yeah, it is pretty decent. I'm pretty happy with that. Like, when you look across that midfield, pretty strong. Pukki, 2 points. Look, at the end of the day, I went for Dubravka and Pukki because Dubravka was the best fixture this week and got a clean sheet. Thank you very much. Pukki, I really wanted to go big at the back, and I thought you might as well get a cheapy striker because no strikers have been good this game week. The only one I maybe should have gone for is Ronaldo, but is that really at the sacrifice of Salah and De Bruyne, Trent, Robertson? Shouldn't be, really, I think, because United, as good as they, can be, not very often, but Ronaldo, I don't know, I just wasn't really feeling it, and United players, I just think long term they're not that good. I know it's a free hit and you don't have them long term, but I just had more faith in my Chelsea players. And yeah, okay, Ronaldo scored in both games, but look, still, Ronaldo, I've had him for points this season already, so can't complain too much. But yeah, I knew with Pukki I was running a risk, but it was also like not really running a risk. It was more hedging my bets because I thought, well, Dubravka, if he gets a clean sheet, Bob's your uncle. If Pukki scores, all right, we'll take it, but it's at the cost of a Dubravka clean sheet. So yeah, I was pretty happy with that, to be honest. Now, the rest of the bench, Lonergan, Andy Lonergan. Don't ask me why I brought this guy in. It was just to save money, but I thought he looked a bit like Let's Talk FPL and he's called Andy, so, roll with it. Mateta, glad I benched him because I thought he might be an option if he comes off the bench, but he just didn't look that good against Leeds, so that's fine. Gordon, looked all right actually against Liverpool. Played quite well, even if he did maybe dive a few times. But it looked threatening. But also good, I benched him this game week. And then Ford against Watford, obviously, just to save money, really. So yeah, pretty happy with that game week 34. On a free hit, I think 66 should not be sniffed at, especially when the game week average this week was 51. So yeah, obviously it was a crucial game week for my hopes of finishing the top 100k. We were at 125k before game week 34. We scraped in to 113k this game week. So yeah, I really am pretty happy with that, to be honest. It's a green arrow. Let's get ready to rumble for game week 35, 36, and 37. And yeah, I can't complain. Like, to move up what I did, I was on a previous game week rank of last week, I think it was 4 million. So then to go and get 1 million, I'll take that. Like, it could have been worse. I think I was only a few points off a top million game week rank, but look, that's a pretty solid game week, to be honest. We did bench only 3 points, so no regrets on this free hit. We're on total 2,198 overall points, and only 8 points now off the top 100k. I'm pretty sure that's the last time I looked, and only 119 points off the top 10k. So realistically, if we get top 100k, that's job done. That's what we asked for at the start of the season. We said if we can do anything this season, try and get top 100k for the first time in my FPL career. And we're on track to do it. Hopefully, we can get it done. We need some more green arrows. And recently, the green arrows have been a little bit up and down, I'm not going to lie. Before that game week 28 absolute stinker, we were on an amazing run of game week green arrows. But look, hopefully, game week 36 and 37, we can claw it back with the double game weeks. But yeah, let's see how we're set up then, shall we, for game week 35. This is an interesting one, I think, really, because ultimately, I don't quite know what to say with this one. Like, it's a single game week, but I don't really want it to be. So let's look at the game week. I need to make a confession, right? At the start of the video, I sung "Hello, Darkness, My Old Friend," and the reason I did sing that was because I had an absolute stinker, right? I don't know why I did this. There wasn't any logic to it, but also it was just like I had a stinker. There's no more to it than that. So on the Monday of Game Week 34. It was before Palace Leeds. It was about 3:42-ish. I had a bit of a stinker, right? I was looking at some FPL plans, and I was just doing that thing on the transfer page, right? So you go to transfers, you tinker around with a few options. You think, all right, let's bring in, I don't know, Ward-Prowse, and let's bring in bloody Van Dijk, right? And then you look at that thing of make transfers. So this was on my phone. I screenshotted that, right? And on an iPhone, there's this thing where when you screenshot, it goes into the bottom left corner, like where the screenshot is, and then it's allowing you to crop it, right? So I clicked on that to try and crop it. But what I didn't realise was I actually didn't click on that. I clicked on accidentally confirm transfers, and it was a -8. It was only a plan. It wasn't a plan that I was set on. That, you know, I had loads of other plans in my head. It was just a possible plan that I wanted to save in my photos, and yet I've accidentally clicked the -8 and mid-game week brought in players who had Champions League midweek. I luckily got away with it with Matip, who didn't play against Villarreal. I also brought in someone who has a bad fixture this game week, but it was more about game week 36. But I didn't really want to do it because, as I say, it was a mistake. And also, Emmanuel Dennis the Menace. I mean, it was a menace of a mistake. But that is the first time that's happened this season. The first time it's actually ever happened where I've done a mid-game week transfer and a mistake of a transfer. So, yeah, not ideal, people. But we did Marty out for Matip, Martinelli out for Gordon, and Weghorst out for Dennis. Not the transfers I already wanted to be doing, but I just kind of flirted with it in my head. And now I think about it, Weghorst for Dennis, maybe a bit of a silly one, but, you know, all Watford, eh? As much as I can be pessimistic, I'm just going to that Watford game hoping for a Dennis goal. Martinelli for Gordon, yeah, maybe it's alright. Gordon looked quite good against Liverpool, and he got a double in 36, and he also doubles in 37. But also, don't forget that Martinelli's been recently not been playing, so that's solving a bench boost issue. And then Armati for Matip is a good transfer. So they're all good transfers, really. I'm not really that upset about it. But it's just kind of like a bit frustrating when I didn't plan on doing it then, and I didn't necessarily lock those transfers in for what I wanted to do. But inadvertently, I locked the transfers in. So, yeah, not ideal. But anyway, let's move on from that absolute shocker of a decision. I say decision, it wasn't a decision, of a mistake. Let's talk about my Game Week 35 team. Schmeichel in goal. Yeah, I know it's been a long one, but we will schedule it for a bit before the deadline so that you can see my team. Like, there's no point even copying my team at this point because I've had a stinker. But look, hopefully this -8 won't be the only thing that means I have a red arrow. Hopefully there'll be other factors that mean I could get a green arrow, right? So Schmeichel against Spurs, okay, not the most ideal fixture thing, but look, I'm not going to sell Raya when, yeah, all right, I might want to get a doubling goalie for 36, but you're not going to sell him and bench him. I say that, Gordon. I say sell him and bench him, transfer him in and bench him. But look, it's not the most ideal thing. Would I say Raya's got more chance of a clean sheet against United than Schmeichel has against Spurs? No. Would I say Raya could get some save points against United? Sure, because United will have a few shots. Would I say United win against Brentford? Possibly. Would I say Brentford keep a clean sheet? Maybe not, with the form Ronaldo's in. But I just think Schmeichel against Spurs. Spurs are going to go for that game. They need to for the top four. Leicester don't really care about it, but Schmeichel makes loads of saves. And, alright, the last couple of weeks, Spurs have been off the boil, so you never know, a clean sheet for Schmeichel. But obviously, I want a Spurs goals fest because I've got a little Harry on the captaincy. But look, Schmeichel, save points. There's not a lot in the goalies for the fixtures this week. We're just going to go with it. Now, earlier on in the season, against Leicester away, I did bench Antonio Rudiger, right? And that was a week that Reece James didn't do enough, and Rudiger got a goal and a clean sheet, and I was absolutely fuming that I benched Rudiger. But I don't think I'm going to regret it this week. Surely not, right? FPL gods, just be a bit nicer for the game week ahead, because Rudiger, okay, yeah, he's back fit, but who am I going to bench for Rudiger here? Because Reece James got more attacking output, looked brilliant against Manchester United. Matip against Newcastle, hopefully a bank clean sheet. You could bench Matip, but I just think Newcastle aren't scoring that game, surely. I know they've been in good form, but is there more chance Everton score or Newcastle score? I think probably Everton, because they're at home. Oh, I suppose Newcastle are as well. But Liverpool is so good, whereas Chelsea defensively recently have not been great. So, I don't know. Trent against Newcastle, you have to play him for the set-piece threat. Son against Leicester, pretty nice. Salah, could captain Salah. Maybe I shouldn't overthink it, especially in the week that I've done a -8 madness. And just, if in doubt, captain Salah to make it a bit more easy. But it's the early kickoff, and Newcastle defensively, they've improved a little bit. I don't know. Maybe I'm being a bit optimistic. But look, I think so much goals, so much on the line for Harry Kane against Leicester, surely. Saka against West Ham could be a captaincy shout, but I just think Saka and Arsenal are a bit up and down. They need to win that game, but let's see if Saka does anything. Ramsey, Norwich, come on. It's Norwich. Like, let's not take the mick here. Ramsey's been up and down, of course, but he's the bench fodder. Like, that's all I need. And I've just realised as well, I brought in Gordon this week. Gordon Ramsey. You've got to love the combination there for Gameweek 36. But anyway, the point I'm saying is it's Norwich, and he did a big haul against against Leeds in a previous double game week, and also he did score quite recently against West Ham. He scored in the reverse fixture v Norwich. I'm liking it. Front three. Now I could bench one of these front three for a Gordon or a Rudiger or a White, but United are still defensively pretty suspect, right? I think we can all agree that. And Tony's had a great season. Scored in this game in the reverse fixture. Still a threat for Brentford. I think it would be silly to bench him, in my opinion. Harry Kane v captaincy. Yeah, okay. I think we should go for it. I mean, Son is a close one, but I think despite Son's recent hat-trick v Villa, Kane's individual record v Leicester, and he's on pens, I'm not saying Son's a bad option, but I feel like Kane is the one to go for. And let's say, for some reason, Son didn't play, obviously, then Rudiger can come in, but I'm not going to go captaincy Kane, captaincy Vice on Son. I know the game won't get postponed, but let's just imagine it did. Right, I prefer sharing captaincy and vice captaincy on different teams. Dennis, Burnley, come on. Dennis, the menace, right? Did against City, got the assist. Did against Brentford, got the goal, right? Those are weeks that I thought about bringing him in and didn't. I thought about Pookie and didn't. I'll probably get Pookie on the bench boost, but Dennis, man, please. V Burnley. It's blooming Burnley. I know we didn't score against them in the reverse fixture, but come on. Just go for it. Raya v Man United, as I say, not too much to think about there. So yeah, that is my team for Game Week 34. So 35, I should say. I know it's been a long one. 47 minutes is a bit of a long haul. But look, I had a lot to get through, as I say, kind of making those transfers, admittedly, as a mistake, but making those decisions and obviously catching you up. So yeah, I'm pretty happy with where I'm sitting in terms of rank. The -8 is going to hurt that, of course, and I'm probably going to get a red arrow this week. I think I might accept that. But is it worth it to get that kind of good team for 36 with Gordon doubling, with Ramsey doubling, with Dennis doubling, with Matip doubling? I think it's all very worthwhile, and I could still get a City player, but it's going to be hard to squeeze in. So thanks for watching my preview. I'll see you next time. Bye bye.